Hello, everyone. I'm Willem,
And I'm Tim.
and this is our 25th episode of Hear Me Out Pitch. Yeah, holy crap. It's 25, almost half a year, basically. Yeah, it's been for the birth of this podcast, like when I made the name, when I made the insignia, it's been 6 months. So yeah, it's crazy sauce. Couple weeks, it'll be 2 months, in 2 months, 6 months since our first episode. So thanks, Tim, for joining me in this. It's been fun so far.
It has been fun.
And with that, we're retiring. I'm just kidding.
I wish I could retire now.
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Not from this. I wouldn't retire from this.
No,
but
I'd keep
in
doing the
general,
podcast.
heck yeah, I would just love to.
Not
of
having
course.
any getting money without having to work for the rest of your life.
I mean,
Like I understand that it's your money,
it's your money and you want it now.
but yeah.
But on the basis of, breaks in some sort, we will actually be ending season 1, quote unquote, with this episode. That's 25 episodes. I feel like that's a good enough time to kind of do a little hiatus, and it is the holiday season. So me and Tim just kind of want to focus on families and not worry about coming in the middle of the week and doing that. But we will be giving you all a Christmas episode. We will be recording next week, but it will not be part of any season. You'll get it around Christmas time, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We're excited. We're going to talk about our favorite Christmas movies, so that should be fun.
That's not what we're talking about today.
No, it is not.
No. We are sticking to the Christmas theme
Christmas.
as it is tis the season.
'Tis the season. Less than 20 days.
It's nuts. My brother gets home in 2 weeks.
Where'd he go?
His mission, Germany.
Wow.
So I'm excited. It's been a while.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy crap, Tim.
Yeah.
And he gets to meet your wife.
Yeah, he hasn't actually met my wife yet.
Oh my
brother,
gosh.
my brother, my best friend in the whole world, my confidant, he's been there my entire life, and he's been my best friend that whole time. And he is just now going to be meeting my wife.
Wow. Has he had video calls with her and talked with her?
He's met her over video, and
Okay.
our wedding day too. Like, he called and got to talk to us on our wedding day.
Aww.
So during our luncheon thing we had, we got to talk to him for a few minutes before my dad was like, "Hey, we're waiting for you two."
Oh.
So
Have you talked to him about this podcast in any way or anything?
haven't. I think I've mentioned
really?
it. I think I've mentioned it, but I think that's it.
All right. That's pretty cool.
But hopefully,
Well, I
he'll
can't wait
listen.
to meet him. And he's your how
oldest,
many year?
oldest brother. He's
The oldest younger brother.
oldest younger. Well, I'm the oldest of all
Yeah.
my siblings. So yeah.
I say that too about my sister because I'm like, oh, she's my oldest sister, and they're like, what? I'm like, the oldest of the 3 younger sisters. I'm the oldest. I claim that right, but that's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
That's the oldest one
They are the oldest sibling.
that I have,
Mm-hmm.
but I am older than them. I know. I get what you're saying. We get to say weird stuff as the oldest
We
siblings.
do.
I don't
We
care.
also got put through a lot of weird stuff as the oldest.
Yeah. Some rules are strict. You look at the youngest now, and you're like, how are you just getting away with stuff? It's just
It's because our parents gave up trying.
yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when you have kids. That's something I can't even comprehend right now. But anyway, Christmas.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, Christmas. We're talking about in my opinion, one of the most Christmassy characters out of all of them, even though he probably doesn't see himself as it, the Grinch.
He is Dr. Seuss's Scrooge.
Yep. Yes. Perfect way to say that.
That's exactly what he is. He doesn't care about the money, but he hates, it's the bah humbug. He hates Christmas.
No one quite knows the reason.
No, which we watched last night. We watched the newest one with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep, the Illumination one.
And it was a really cute movie.
It's so cute.
It was so cute. I've probably got diabetes. So
sweet.
So sweet. I've got diabetes.
You know how the Illumination, for all of you who don't know who Illumination is, they did Despicable Me. They did The Curious Life of Pets.
They did the Mario movie.
Which was so well done. And which, after discussion with Tim, I'm really excited to see what they do with Legend of Zelda, because
it's live action.
It might be live action, quote unquote.
It will be live action, but potentially not in the typical way.
For any of you who've played, video games nowadays and know what mocap is, or motion capture, that's what we're thinking is going to happen with Legend of Zelda. But anyway, enough about animation. Illuminations, The Grinch Stole Christmas, really cute, different take. I think Tim said it best. It was more of a seasonal depression, loneliness type movie for all of those single people who don't have family to turn to. So
I enjoyed watching the Grinch go through, the whole movie being super depressed because he's lonely, and looking at the Christmas things and kind of looking at them longingly and wishing that he had that when he was growing up, and wishing that he could enjoy it now, but instead of trying to accept that he can have it now and joining the Who's, he decided, hey, I'm gonna steal Christmas.
I'm gonna make them all feel how I feel.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end of the movie, they kept singing, or they sang anyway, even though Christmas had been stolen. It kind of melted his heart a little bit,
and
it was cute. I do wish that we'd gotten the, his heart grew 3 or 2 sizes that day.
3 sizes that day.
3 sizes that day, and
the strength of 10 Grisses.
10 men, 2
plus
Grinches. 2. Whatever that is, yeah. But overall, it was a really good movie.
I will give it to them. It was well done to try to not completely copy it, because we've seen it. We've seen it with an actual animated movie from the 60s, which was exactly,
Dr. Seuss's.
It was word for word, exactly the same, maybe a few things different, a few songs added. And then you have this one, which kind of just took a different aspect, had some things that were very familiar, but it was a different story in a way. Same kind of feeling, but a different message. Instead of Christmas doesn't come from a store, it's Christmas is meant to be shared with those around you. No one should be alone on Christmas. And the most important thing about Christmas is spending time with your family. And in a way, they all kind of, go with that. But this one really wasn't as commercialized. Like, he kept mentioning a few things, and they did kind of make a big deal. But really, like, the Who's in the animated movie are way different than the one in the Ron Howard directed one with Jim Carrey. It's they are mean. They are doing like Black Friday sales. They're doing everything. Like, it is such my dad loves the Grinch.
I love Jim Carrey's Grinch.
It is so good.
Jim Carrey is one of my favorite actors because of the faces and the voices that he can do. And I'm a little sad that he's retiring, but at the same time, he's had a really good run, and we've got some really good movies with him. And I'm really excited to see, who steps up to the plate now for those crazy faces, the extremely wide smiles and
I don't know.
Just the very eccentric personalities that we got with Jim Carrey. I don't know.
I don't know if we'll ever get the same, but it's the Ron Howard directed one, the live action one is so good. Very well, like, because Ron Howard took the basis of the Dr. Seuss story and he added it. He gave a little origin story for the Grinch, and I will admit that the Illumination Grinch, his is really sad, just an orphan.
It's so depressing.
And it was so sweet. And it's just, and I mentioned it a little bit, just the love for Max and the care that Max gets in this movie. Like, Max isn't really like, he's not whipped to get the sled up. He just gets encouraged by the Grinch. And he's like, can I trust you to pull my sleigh? And he pulls the sleigh. Mm-hmm. But even at the end of the movie, when Max is pulling it up the hill, the Grinch is helping him. I like that dynamic. He wasn't a mean owner. He was a very good owner. Unlike the original and Jim Carrey's, he like throws Max outside. He like makes fun of Max. He's like, Max, bring a bag. And by we, I mean, we'll come back for the rest. And by we, I mean you. Like, just random stuff like that. So, I don't know. There's so many little things about all three movies that I just love. Just this newest one, I think maybe we could have waited a little longer for. I don't know.
I think we got it at a good time.
It was good the second time through watching it for me. I really loved it.
I had never seen it until yesterday. I'd seen snippets. I'd seen little bits and pieces. On Monday, my wife and I went, we went out for date night and had R&R barbecue. And on the TV was Benedict Cumberbatch's The Grinch.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
so
wow.
I got to see some bits, but it was like the last 20 minutes of the movie. And so I didn't, I knew what was going on because it's The Grinch. Mm-hmm. One of the most iconic Christmas stories of all time, I think.
I would agree with you. I don't think that I think it's a more modern Christmas tale. I think it was able to, I bet when it first came out, people were like, oh, we like the Christmas Carol, but this one it was very well done.
Everybody can recognize the Grinch.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that the green hairy man with the big, with the beer belly is the Grinch. That's who he is. And you can't always tell that the crotchety old man with the top hat is Scrooge. Is Mr. Scrooge, but it's pretty clear that it's always the Grinch.
If I was walking down a street on a windy day, like a snowy windy day, and I had to like pull up my coat and wind hits me and I look up and through the, wind, the biting wind, I just see some crotchety old man with a cane and a top hat. I'd be like, oh my, am I visited by a ghost or what? Like I'd be pretty freaked out, but I know exactly what you mean. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to write a story of Ebenezer Scrooge becoming the ghost, one of the ghosts.
I have also thought about it. And I did write said story.
Oh.
In a creative writing class in middle school. We had to write, it was just a 12-page story. And by 12 pages, I mean really 6 pages because you put it landscape, cut it in half, and that's your page. Anyway, I did write that, and he became, because of his experience with all three ghosts, he became the ghost of Christmas.
Oh.
Period. And I wrote that he wore a bright red hat and that his suit, instead of being all depressing and gray and dark colors, that he donned a red coat.
Did Ebenezer become Father Christmas?
I made him become Father Christmas. I thought it was fun.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
And it's a story that I've imagined becoming a movie.
That would be so
honestly.
Good. I like it. I will say that Klaus is
so good. It's so
we probably
good.
shouldn't be talking about so many Christmas movies because we're gonna be talking about it
next week.
Next week. or sometime in the near future. But
I've also wondered, about the Grinch as well, right? That same class we had to write two stories. One was the big one, that was my Scrooge Father Christmas story, and then the other one was about the Grinch and his next few Christmases. And it was a much shorter story. But I wrote that essentially his next several Christmases, he was the main person who would push for a good, happy Christmas in Whoville. Because I've always imagined that, like, his heart grew 3 sizes, right? He's become, like, he is now, I can't say in love with Christmas itself, but like
he's changed.
He's changed.
He's had a whole turnaround.
Christmas, and Christmas has changed his life. And so I've always imagined that the Grinch, having gone through what he has, his 50 some odd years being alone, as we hear in this most recent movie, the 50 years being alone on Christmas, then having that all change one Christmas, I don't know. I've just imagined that he becomes a very happy Christmas enthusiast,
the first thing that pops in my head is the title, The Grinch's Last Christmas, and he's just old, and he's all
that's so
white.
sad.
He's all white with a little bit of green, like, how dogs age and they like get the powdered nose, like his is totally doing that. His fur is going white, and all the children come to visit him, and Cindy Lou Who is one of the top people to visit. Aw, that'd be cute.
It'd be cute. That'd be really depressing.
It would.
The Grinch's Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Last Christmas. Anyway. No, you don't like that song?
I hate that song.
Really?
With a burning passion.
It is one of my favorite Christmas songs.
It is my least favorite Christmas song.
Because I love George Michael, and it breaks my heart because he died on Christmas.
Oh, did he?
He did. He died in 2016 on Christmas.
It's one way to die, though.
Yeah, it is. And it makes me really sad when I hear that song now. His version is the one we all should listen to. If you don't like it, I get it.
I can't stand that song. I don't think of it as a Christmas song. Personally, just because it happened on Christmas doesn't make it a Christmas song.
It happened on Christmas. So here's a kind of a question. I know we kind of were saying we're talking about the Grinch, but I think Grinch and Scrooge as characters and their stories are so iconic. Like, those two stories, I think, stand out more than, my opinion, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, more than the Miser Brothers, A Year Without Santa Claus. Those type of movies. I really think that A Christmas Carol and The Grinch Who Stole Christmas are like the iconic Christmas movies. I can't think of any, and they don't have Santa Claus in them.
No, there have been so many iterations of both.
I'm glad you used that word because that's what I was thinking. Is that the word?
There's more iterations of Christmas Carol. We see it all the time. I mean, we see it. Scrooge McDuck.
We've had
he's literally Ebenezer Scrooge just as a duck who adventures and does other cool things.
But he was originally Scrooge McDuck.
He was Scrooge McDuck. Like, he was Ebenezer Scrooge just as a duck.
That was Disney's original character with him.
And
he's still Donald's uncle to this day.
And he is, and it makes me so happy.
Makes me very happy.
But we have, I don't know, we've had so many iterations. We have the Muppets. We have like 3 different versions from the Muppets.
Yep.
And we have a bunch of others, and they're just all so iconic.
My favorite one is the Bill Murray one. Have you seen that one?
I have.
Oh,
it's a good one.
So good. And then the new Netflix one. Oh, one of the songs gets me so good. So I think that changing of a heart is so big on Christmas because it's, the gift of the season of giving, whether you're religious or not. And for anyone who's like, well, Christmas is a pagan roots. Well, your mom has pagan roots. I'm just kidding. That was a meme. That was a meme I saw, and I am obsessed with it. It's one of my favorite memes currently.
That's funny.
And I say it all the time. If people are like, Christmas has pagan origins, your mom has pagan origins.
That's funny.
Sorry, but
I mean, it does, but Christianity was like, "Hey, this is our holiday now."
Yeah.
So like, it's ours. It's humanity's holiday.
It's going. Your grandmother, Norway, the traditions they had before Christianity came, like the old Norse holidays, are still around to this day. They have, or am I thinking of a different country? Is that Finland? When they dress up with like candles in their hair and they walk around. Is that Finland or is that Norway?
I don't think that's Norway. I might be wrong. I don't know. I actually don't know.
One of the North countries. Editor's note, I was thinking about the Lucia tradition in Sweden, and the tradition that I was thinking of is light in her hair, which nowadays is a practice in which a crown of electric candles and a wreath on her head. Each of her handmaidens carries a candle too.
It might be Denmark.
Maybe.
And sounds like something the Danish would do.
And if your grandmother is listening, I apologize for getting my northern countries confused.
Mom, I'm sorry I didn't learn about Norway as much as I should have.
Oh my gosh. Do you technically have dual citizenship?
Kinda, not really.
So your kids are going to be a quarter Norwegian. That like full quarter, 25% right off the bat.
It'll be a little more than 25% because my dad has some Norwegian blood in his ancestry.
Norwegian blood. I found that recently.
We're cousins.
Oh my gosh! No way.
A lot of people in the U.S. have Norwegian ancestry,
and a lot of people in Utah definitely have a lot of Norway, Scotland, Ireland, Wales.
That is true. A lot of the Norwegian people settled in America.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, and a lot of them moved to Utah.
Well, everyone wanted to go to the West. Anyway,
we're not here to
talk about traditions. We're here to talk about just why these two stories. I kind of think this is going to kind of change to, these two characters, because I loved your idea of talking about the Grinch, but I feel like you can't really talk about the Grinch without talking about Ebenezer Scrooge. They both are so iconic with their change. And I think what's so lovely is that both these characters would have been absolutely miserable if they weren't forgiven by the people. Because could you imagine Scrooge? Good morning, everyone. It's Christmas Day. Shut up, Scrooge. No one likes screw you. You've been giving us hell. Yeah, you've been giving us hell. No. Oh, but I got money to buy it. No, we don't want to hear it. Or like everyone just mobs get the freaking green, and they just like, I'm like, I don't like just something terrible. Like it's just shows that how good the communities they were in were and how they were like. And of course, I definitely think that Cratchit would have defended. He would have found that change of heart and defended him.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But
the thing is, the forgiveness had to come from the people of those respected towns. They let the Grinch carve the roast beast. Like they gave him the honor, even though he stole Christmas.
He stole Christmas. Not only did he steal Christmas, but he stole their property. Like think about it this way: the tree, it's a small 4-foot tree that we have that my wife and I have. It was like $120 for a tree.
But most of the trees in the Grinch, they went and chopped them down.
That's true.
Probably because it was written in the 60s.
Yes. Yeah. But the other decorations, the lights, the tinsel, the wreaths, everything, that is so expensive. And every year you spend money on Christmas to decorate, and imagine if everything that you owned that was Christmas was just stolen in one night. Like how lame would that be? That's a lot of money that's just down the drain now. And, yeah, he brings it back. But the way that he packaged it, some stuff probably got broken. A lot of the ornaments probably broke. Anyway, that Hollywood, don't get any ideas. I don't want to see a movie where they didn't forgive them.
I know, neither do I. I don't want to see that. It always has been surprising when people forgive. And also, random note, 1957.
1957.
So yes, most people were definitely cutting down
Cutting their own
trees.
trees.
I think plastic trees were probably starting to get big, especially getting closer to the 60s. I'm just guessing. But still, you go out, you do all that work, and it's the new Christmas. You're getting new presents. You're getting all these things to spend as a family. But yet the people of Whoville came out, they cried, and they cried cheers. They cried, well, they didn't cry. They cheered with joy and sang, Christmas was there, and it still came. And, I just think that both characters are iconic for it. That was one thing that, in regards to the recent Illumination Grinch Stole Christmas, is they changed. I wish they would have kept the perhaps Christmas doesn't come from a store, but I get it. It was more about being with family and not being lonely. And once again, the Grinch found himself alone. And I loved that it was like his heart grew and there was a swelling and he felt warmth and he realized he had to return it. And they immediately, and Cindy Lou Who wanted her mom to get help. And, I think it's so sweet that she just invites him to...
As the child of a single parent, having grown up where my dad was an only parent raising us. He had help from my grandparents, but seeing Cindy Lou Who wanting nothing more than for her mom to be happy as a single mom raising Cindy Lou and her two brothers, whose names I can't remember.
Could I?
It hit me in a spot in my heart that I had kind of forgotten about.
Tim's heart grew 3 sizes that day.
If that's what happened, I should probably go to the ER.
Oh my. Tim, no!
But it just reminded me of some of the times that for Christmas, we would write letters to Santa. And yeah, Candace yelling letters to Santa, ah ha ha ha, shush.
What?
If you didn't get that reference, go watch Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, okay. Of course. I was so lost. I'm like, who? Who's Candace?
We would write our letters to Santa, and we'd burn them in the fireplace. We'd set them in the fireplace and burn them. And I was always taught that when you burn your letters to Santa, then that's how he receives them. That's how you send them to him. You can't just give them to the postman. Anyway, most years that we did that, in my letter to Santa, it was always, I would always write that my dad would find someone that he could be happy with. And it, watching Cindy Lou, and that's her whole thing, is just wanting her mom to be happy. It struck a chord with me that I'd almost forgotten.
It struck a chord with me this year, that's for dang sure. So, wow, sorry, that just kind of like hit deep. That was good, Tim. I'm like, dang. Oh, I just love this time of year, and I think these two stories are the best way to capture the Christmas spirit. I think that these two characters represent Christmas far more than Santa Claus. I love Santa Claus. I love the idea of him. I think he is a wonderful figure. I think that he is he's just so sweet. I don't know how else to say it. I love Santa Claus, and we'll definitely talk more.
All of the different iterations of Santa too. Like, I don't know. Santa's just great, and you can't think of Christmas without thinking of Santa Claus. But Santa Claus is not what makes up Christmas.
No.
And he, in my personal opinion, he's not the spirit of Christmas.
I've always found him like as the, if you find the good the pureness of what Santa Claus means, to me, that's the earthly spirit of Christmas. Because I grew up more thinking Christmas as gift giving and being kind and, being jolly, to be fair with that. But I get that because we all know, and we were taught by Linus and Charlie Brown, what the true meaning of Christmas really is, which again is another favorite of mine. But we have to be careful talking about all these Christmas movies because we might be spoiling it for people.
I think we can all, back to the whole Christmas Carol thing, I think we can all relate to the two main characters pretty well, I think. Obviously, Scrooge. We have Ebenezer Scrooge. We can relate to him. But we can also relate to Tiny Tim. And yes, I know that's my nickname.
Dang it! I was like, please let me have this moment. I didn't even realize until right now. I was like, who's the other main character? I would have said Cratchit, but
no, it's Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim is the reason that Scrooge had that change of heart.
He's one of them.
One of them. Tiny Tim is the Cindy Lou Who.
Oh my gosh!
Like they are the same.
It
character.
literally just is the same story.
It is. And the thing about Tiny Tim and Cindy Lou Who, and yeah, you can all say it, yes, but you're Tiny Tim. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's been my nickname since I was little.
He's literally that in my phone contacts.
Yeah, it is.
Laugh every time.
I think that's my contact in Tyler's phone too.
That's funny.
It's my contact in a lot of people's phone.
It's just funny.
And it's
I love
fine.
when I get a phone call or my phone says it's like, getting a call from Tiny Tim, and it's Australian, so it's a little accent. It's like, Tiny Tim. I'm like,
Yep.
Anyway.
I've been Tiny Tim. I'm shorter than average.
Yeah,
always
he's shorter than me, so yes, he's.
So yeah, I've always been Tiny Tim. Anyway, we can all relate to Tiny Tim in a couple different ways. But I think the biggest one is that for those of us who really love Christmas, there's usually something holding us back a little bit, whether that's work, school, family, seasonal depression, which is a real kicker. There's always something that kind of debilitates us a little bit. Just like Tiny Tim and his disability. When we have other people come in and help us, that's when Christmas can actually mean something. Is when we have other people. When we have an Ebenezer Scrooge come in, someone who we know come in and just make Christmas better, make Christmas worthwhile. Mm-hmm. Then that's what Christmas really should be, is being with people, having those moments where, maybe seasonal depression is kicking your butt, and then all of a sudden you get a random gift from somebody. I have a friend who, growing up, her family didn't have much.
Aww.
And Christmas Day, her entire neighborhood got together, came to their house, and gave them a gift each.
Aww.
For each person in her family. There were 8 kids in her family, plus her parents. And everybody got a gift from everybody else. And it just it was one of those moments in her life that just made Christmas one of her favorite. It's literally her favorite holiday because of that. She told me that she loves the Christmas carols, and she loves the gift giving and the spending time with family. But that moment when she woke up Christmas morning and there were, 150 some odd people standing in front of her house in a line, each with an armful of gifts.
Aww.
That's what cemented Christmas as a time of giving and a time of love and caring for others for her. And when she told me that story, it reminded me of a time. I don't know if it was Christmas, but when I was really little, my dad and my mom were struggling financially, and one day they received a box of food and other things, and I think there were diapers for me and stuff, and it was anonymous, and it was the spirit of giving. And that's a story that in my own life, I don't remember it. I was way too little. I was still wearing diapers, so at least third grade. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I was about to say that was like at least 2 years ago, but
that's a joke. I've been potty trained since before kindergarten, preschool.
Sure, Tim, sure.
Anyway, besides
I'm not a pee-pee boy.
It's something that I've always imagined doing. I got to participate a couple times on my mission. There were a couple times where all the missionaries would get together and we'd put in $5 to a collective pot, and we'd use it to get food and stuff for the members and for just the people in the neighborhoods that we were in.
Aww.
That needed food or clothes and other stuff. And it was a really cool experience. It wasn't exactly for Christmas. Like it was a Christmas activity, but it wasn't for Christmas. We planned it already, and we decided we were just going to do it for Christmas. But it was cool.
Giving is always cool. It doesn't cost a lot to be kind. And that's kind of funny because it does cost to buy gifts, but still, that feeling you get is free. Yeah. You shouldn't expect it. You shouldn't expect to receive anything from giving. You just do. And I think that, these two characters really show us, because Scrooge has all this ability to help those in need. And at the end of the story, he is helping his neighborhood. He is giving out everything he can. I think both of these characters would have, I would love for them to have these, final Christmases, for them to look back and be thankful for these tiny things. And speaking of tiny things, I think it's funny that we mentioned Cindy Lou Who, but if you really think about the original story, she doesn't do anything. No. The reason why she's become such a big, figure to help the Grinch is because of Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He made Cindy Lou Who curious of what Christmas is all about. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand why everyone's buying gifts. She wants to know more about the Grinch, and she's just like the true spirit of Christmas in that movie. She reaches out to him to be the holiday cheermeister. She is just contemplating everything, and she invites him herself. And I think it's so sad when he runs amok. The mayor was being a jerk, and he blows everything down. He burns down the other tree, and he tells them that they have avarice and that they'll always be wanting, and they just don't care. And he just sees all their trash, and he's like, you all don't care. You just want to get. You don't want to do anything else. And Cindy Lou Who was the only one that wanted to give. And it always broke my heart growing up that she's just crying after her idea failed, and she's like, I just wanted everyone to be happy on Christmas. And you're like, because she wasn't happy. It is so sweet. And I think this newest Cindy Lou Who was even sweeter because she just was acting like she wanted to see Santa. We all had the impression that she just wanted gifts, but then to learn that she wanted to help her mom and all these things. She just was such a good little kid. She was so sweet. Oh, got diabetes watching that movie. Too sweet.
It was very sweet.
So sweet. Every character was just adorable. And then the Who's in the live action one, you're like, ugh. You try watching it now and you're like, it's so ugly. I love you.
It's kind of creepy with the the turned up nose and all that.
So let's talk about the original book slash movie. They're exactly the same, except maybe like small differences of tone, and they made him green because in the original book he's not really green. He's just this. If anyone's ever seen like the original printing, he was just kind of white and this like faint yellowish green. Like he wasn't as green as we see him today. Mm-hmm. Like think of the old Dr. Seuss drawings. He was just meh. But anyway, the movie just made him green. What do you love about the original?
About the original?
Yeah.
I loved that it was the original, that it was an original story, that it was new, and that it was made for younger audiences, for the kids to grow up loving Christmas. And it taught kids in a very good way how they should treat Christmas and why Christmas is important and what it means, what Christmas means. And the fact that the master of storytelling himself, Dr. Seuss, created this story, these characters, and well over my lifetime ago, my parents, grandparents, forever ago.
Almost a century.
Almost a century. Almost. And we're still watching The Grinch, and we're still, Horton Hears a Who.
The Lorax.
We love those stories.
Did Illumination do Lorax? I think they did.
I think they did.
They did? No.
No.
I think it was Blue Sky.
But the fact that we're still seeing Dr. Seuss's stuff today, almost a century later,
they're timeless.
They really are timeless. And the Grinch being the Grinch, again, like I said at the very beginning, he is one of the most iconic Christmas characters ever. Santa Claus, obviously, he's number one because it's Santa. But I think the Grinch is number two. Worldwide, I think the Grinch is the number two most recognizable Christmas character.
Santa Claus and then the Grinch. I can't imagine anyone else. And Scrooge, maybe. Scrooge was probably number three. He's up there. But really...
Well, Rudolph.
No.
And Frosty the Snowman.
I'm sorry, but I don't really think about them during Christmas time. I'm like, oh yeah, they exist.
It's true. I just mean recognizable. Like you see them. Ebenezer Scrooge is just an old man with a top hat and a cane.
If it's Christmas time and I see a picture of an old man, I don't know. I would argue that he's pretty recognizable. But the Grinch, though, I don't feel like you can get the Grinch without thinking about Ebenezer in some way. That's just me.
It's true.
I think they both. That's why I really couldn't not mention him this episode. So we've talked about the original. I think I'm right there with you. It's a classic. The line that the Grinch says, perhaps Christmas doesn't come in the store. Perhaps he thought Christmas is a little bit more. Like that line is iconic. It is one that my family has lived on. It is just, that is what Christmas, for the most part, means to me in a worldly sense. Mm-hmm. Religiously, of course, think of the birth of Christ. But for the most part, I just think of Christmas as a little bit more. It's a special time of year. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about the original, the Jim Carrey one, probably my favorite out of all the three. Like if people are like, let's watch The Grinch Stole Christmas, which one? The Jim Carrey one is like what most people should probably answer. It's what you'll get from me. And now I really want to watch it. It's just so funny.
It is. Jim Carrey is the Grinch.
It's not a skirt, it's a kilt. Sicko.
I love Jim Carrey's The Grinch. It's just awesome.
And he just got to ad-lib. He got to do his own thing. It was so fun. And he did such a good job. I think Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat was just as good, but was it as good as the movie? No, but did he do a good job as the Cat in the Hat? Yes. Everyone should watch that at least once. Anyway, I just love how Ron Howard took if you watch the original movie, it's like 40 minutes. If you read the book, it's 15 to 20, depending on how fast you read
The
it.
original movie's 25 minutes.
25? Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah. So, really, I'm going to say original story, 10 minutes to 25 minutes, depending on if you're reading or watching. He took it and made it a whole hour, more than an hour and a half long movie. And yeah, it works. We got an origin story. I love the cheesiness of the little Who's came on their little umbrellas and they all fall down to the sky. And, you know, the one poor guy, look, our baby's here. He looks like your boss. Like, just that. Who thinks of that? But yet it's so funny. Like, I never in my mind, I would have been like, oh, that's funny. And then Cindy Lou Who's like, oh, that's how. And I understand they're probably telling her that because of innocence. Or maybe that's just how the Who's are.
Maybe that is just how the Who's are.
But I've always seen it as they're just telling her story, and the Grinch was just abandoned. I've always imagined he was a just deformed Who baby. But regardless, just his origin story, just, I hate Christmas. It just shaves his face. Made me terrified to learn how to shave my face as a kid. I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to be the Grinch. I'm going to be made fun of. I'm going to have to put toilet paper spots on my neck. I have to do that every now and then. That's not my fault. I can shave my face, I promise.
It looks really weird.
Oh, I totally forgot. I've had a beard the whole time me and Tim have known each other, and I shaved my face last Thursday night. And Tim saw it yesterday when I went and asked him about something, and the first thing out of his mouth when he opened the door, oh!
Yep. I still can't take you seriously.
It's probably going to start growing back out. So I think from this point on, it's going to, I think a fun week. Okay, no, we're good. I think a fun week of Babyface was good enough. So, and now you'll never see it again. Maybe you will. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
If a girl tells me that she likes me more clean shaven, it's coming off. Anything for you. Just kidding. Who? I don't know. She hasn't showed herself yet. Oh, that's what I want for Christmas. Last Christmas.
No, please don't sing that song.
Oh man, but it's such a good one, and the dynamic between Cindy Lou Who and the ending, and even though it had a lot of comedy, I'm still sucker punched in a few scenes. The scene with him picking up the sleigh, the scene with him realizing, like when he breaks down in tears for a brief moment, I genuinely like get choked up. Even to this day, even though it's kind of silly, it hit him.
Yeah.
The Grinch felt something, and I just love, and Jim Carrey did a good job doing that.
Like you said, it's a silly movie. There are some scenes that are quite inappropriate that went over my head when I was a kid.
Hi there, Martha.
Some comments, huh?
Hi there, Martha.
Ah, yes. But that being said, it's still a really good movie for kids to learn about Christmas and to learn about the Grinch, and like I said with the original, it's a good way for kids to learn what Christmas really means. You know, aside from the religious bits and aside from the gift giving, what is Christmas, right? And we learn what it is from the Grinch. We learn that it's being with those that you care about, and it's all about, as Dom Toretto would say, it's about family.
It's about family. It's his favorite holiday. You know why? It's all about family.
Yeah, and I love the Jim Carrey version. It's just so good.
So good. The jokes, I will quote them. You even quote them all year. Like the voicemail machine. If you utter so much as one syllable, I'll hunt you down and gut you like a fish. If you fax me, press the star key. And you're like, eh. Or like the solve world hunger, tell no one. Like, it's just ridiculous. Jim Carrey got to they're like, go ham. Jim, just go ham. Do your own thing. And it's silly. It's so silly. But yet, somehow, it's so good. The thing is, I remember going to see it in the Dollar Theater, and the theater was packed. It was such a good Christmas movie, but yet it was so silly. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
So good.
And I wouldn't mind more like that because even though it had a lot of comedy, somehow it still worked. And I wish that writers nowadays would look at that and go, this is what comedy goes. Because there's not that many like cringy moments or awkward hiccups. I think of like some of the Marvel movies. which a lot of people blame Guardians of the Galaxy because of how their humor was. If you look at all the movies before Guardians of the Galaxy, they were pretty serious tone movies.
They had
But
some
after
comedy every
Guardians,
now and again,
but not as much as Guardians. You're like, oh,
And our second and third episode, this podcast.
oh my gosh, Ragnarok.
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Or Love and Thunder.
Which again, if anyone's heard about Taika Waititi, he was trying to say that he didn't really have his full heart into Ragnarok and he got lucky. I'm so angry at this man for trying to, I believe, make up for the bushwhack that he gave us with that movie. So he struck gold, but he should have read the room better after Infinity War and Endgame. So anyway, we've talked about that enough. And this is a podcast for all you know.
We mention it just about every other episode.
I do. I will always. The thing is, I love some of his movies. Jojo Rabbit, I believe everyone should watch.
Is that the Kid Hitler movie?
The young Nazi soldier, yes. And his imaginary friend is
Hitler.
Hitler, played by Taika Waititi. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone should watch it because you think it's funny, and then the end hits and you're like, oh my gosh. And everyone should watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So... but with Love and Thunder, just flibbity gibbets. I'm trying to keep it PG here because of my anger roiling over here.
Yep.
Anyway, enough of the Taika Waititi slander. In this podcast, we slander Love and Thunder.
So what is your favorite scene out of all three? What's your favorite scene in The
in
Grinch?
each, or just all in general? Total.
Out of the three, what is your favorite scene?
It is simply just, the Grinch stood there puzzling and puzzling till his puzzler was sore, and then he thought, perhaps Christmas doesn't come from a store. Perhaps he thought Christmas is a little bit more. That, to me, is the most iconic part of all of them. The part when the Grinch comes to himself and realizes that he's in the wrong, realizes that this was silly, and that he is making others miserable. He was being selfish, and he came to himself, and it's one of my favorites. And I think that this newest version really did show that. He was miserable. He wasn't happy. Everyone else to be that way, but he's like, why on earth? But yet when he tried to do that, no one was sad. Because they had their families and he was still alone. And that was probably what broke my heart with the newest one, is in the end, he's sitting there up on the mountain alone, of course with his dog, but he's still not feeling better. And the rest of the Who's get to feel great. And instead of, and he could have just thrown it down. He could have just let it go and gone back and burrowed himself even more, but he came to himself. And he went and gave everything back, and they accepted him. And it's just, he's the prodigal son of Christmas. It's just,
yeah, he really is.
It's just wonderful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they accepted him just like the father did. It's just wonderful. So, yeah, that's my favorite. That's to me what the Grinch is. And because of my dad as well, that line is just very important. So what about you? Out of all of them, what are your favorites?
I think my favorite scene out of all of it is in the Jim Carrey one when he joins in the circle and starts singing with them.
Ah,
I think that's my favorite part because it is it's the final conclusion of that story where he's alone and now he's being accepted into their midst, and they accept him for who he is. They don't care that he's green and furry. They don't care that he's pudgy. You know, they don't care. What they care about is that he's a person, and that he deserves Christmas just as much as everyone else. And that's my favorite part. When Cindy Lou grabs his hand and they start singing and rocking back and forth as they sing, and you know, he's trying to make up the words to the song as he goes because he doesn't know the words, and it's just cute.
You know what? I always have thought that he should have known them. Like
I agree.
I wish Cindy and Martha would have looked at him, and then he just actually he does. He does start because he's kind of messing around, but then he does join.
He does.
He does actually, like he does, and I think that that's something that to me shows that he did care and he did always listen. He just now time to get of all those pesky memories.
Mm-hmm.
I think it shows that, you know, not to kind of contradict to some degree of your statement, but the only Who originally that was even willing was Cindy Lou Who.
Uh-huh.
She noticed his mail, but she's like, "What doesn't anyone send letters to the Grinch?" Like the whole time, she was like hearing it. His name was taboo. His name was all these things. No one liked him. Like they're all yelling, "Grinch, Grinch!" Oh no! Like they just didn't care. But she was.
But she did.
But she did. And
they didn't care, but she did.
I think and it's really sweet because I think it's kind of the reverse of what we see in the newest movie is Cindy Lou Who is feeling sad and wondering about Christmas. And she decided that if I can help the loneliest person, then maybe I will feel something this Christmas. And it's just so, and she's just so sweet. And I love how they took her, and she, again, she's a toddler in the original story, but they changed, but you know, Ron Howard changed her to a full fleshed out character. Just a young Who girl who wanted to know more about Christmas and wanted to help the Grinch. And his backstory. Like the part where I think another image that pops in my head is, you know, he's climbing alone and everyone's recalling how, you know, he went away and, you know, he's just sitting there quiet, and then it transitions to current older Grinch and he's just sitting there again. And then it goes to the joke about him hating the Who's, but it did such a good job of teetering balance and seriousness. I always wanted them to show how he got Max. That's always what I've wondered.
Yeah.
I've always wanted a short. I was really hoping Illumination would make a short movie about the Grinch finding Max. Because he was, yeah, anyway.
I mean, they have all the shorts with the minions. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not give us a short?
Maybe so, like a teenager Grinch. Not even teen, because he's 50. So...
An old Grinch.
An old Grinch. For 53 years, I've been putting up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? I think I want to do like a nice little, but not very neat, transition to Scrooge. And I don't really want to spoil if one of these is on your list, but maybe we can exclude it. But what is your favorite rendition of The Christmas Carol? And maybe we can exclude these ones from our list.
I think my favorite version is the original Scrooge McDuck with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all of them. Just because I don't know. Growing up, I loved Mickey Mouse. I loved Donald Duck. I loved Goofy. I loved all of them. And it's when I imagine Ebenezer Scrooge, it's always Scrooge McDuck. Obviously, recently I've watched the newest series of DuckTales.
Oh,
With David Tennant voicing Scrooge McDuck.
I have a question about David Tennant, somewhat.
Okay,
Just random. I'm very sorry, but
fine.
I've been wondering, have you watched the new Doctor Who on Disney?
I haven't. I will get to
Okay.
it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I don't want to.
I do.
I've been terrified of, I will not say nothing any further.
You need to watch the
That,
rest
no,
of
that's
David Tennant,
fine,
Doctor Who
but,
first.
and I do, you're right, but I'm very scared for you to watch it.
I'm not too worried.
Okay. I hope
If
I
it's
hope
David
you love
Tennant,
it.
I'm not worried.
I hope you love it. I'm going to be very sad if I get a text from you going, they massacred my boy. That's my boy. Anyway, so David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck. I would love for them. Did they ever do a Christmas special with DuckTales?
Yeah, yeah.
And him kind of did they ever like mention that somehow?
So there is an episode in DuckTales in this newest series. There's the original series where
That's the one I grew up on.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie don't really have their own separate personalities.
No, they don't. And that's kind of how I like them, but that's just me.
I like them this new way.
I could have been terrible. Fine, fine.
Anyway.
This is the age gap between me and you. It's fine.
6 years.
6 whole years. It really changes you from DuckTales. It kind of does. I literally, I grew up when it was ending, and I grew up on Darkwing and DuckTales. And you got the new one, and I tried to watch them, and I was like, no, my little sisters love them, but I was always like, nah.
I love the originals too, but I like these new ones.
So anyway, the newest one, they talk about...
There is an episode where we do get to see Scrooge, Uncle Scrooge, and Santa Claus, and throughout this the entirety of like the first season, 2 seasons, there's a whole like every now and again Santa is mentioned, and then Scrooge says that man knows what he did. He's not allowed here. And we never hear anything until this episode in, I think it's season 3.
Oh my gosh.
Zach will correct me, I'm sure.
Okay.
I can't actually remember exactly what episode it is, but he, it's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, and they've turned McDuck Manor, the big mansion that they all live in, into a fortress against Santa Claus.
Awesome.
To keep him out, and it's hilarious. Anyway, Santa Claus, who is a big polar bear. It's pretty cool. He's a big polar bear. He comes to the front door, knocks on the front door, and says, Scrooge, I need your help, and then collapses unconscious. And he turns out, spoilers, if you haven't seen it, skip forward a couple minutes now. But he turns out he's faking these injuries, and he just wants to be friends with Scrooge again. And we have that episode, and there is another episode earlier in this series. I think it's in season 1, where it's Christmas, and we get the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, and they take, they party. They go back in time with Scrooge to these different parties to celebrate Christmas and just have a good time on Christmas together. And it's hilarious. And, this whole thing where the ghost of Christmas past.
Which one is so in the Disney one, Christmas future is Petey, the big dog. Yeah. What are the other two? I can't think of them at the moment. The Disney one is my favorite ghost of Christmas. No, that's not true. But he's one of my favorites because he talks to Scrooge, and he teaches him a lesson. But
in this one, I can't remember what present and future are, but the ghost of Christmas past is a cricket.
Oh, it's Jiminy Cricket.
It's Jiminy Cricket.
He's the ghost of Christmas past. And who was present? Editor's note, the ghost of Christmas present was portrayed by the character Willie the Giant from the Disney movie Fun and Fancy Free. Thank you.
I can't remember.
Because Marley was Goofy, which is one of my favorite characters. These chains that hold me will soon hold you. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Do it again.
I'm going to do it again. I'll freaking do it again. Funny enough, I think one of my favorite renditions is, I think just to give a nod, because we're talking about Jim Carrey, the Jim Carrey one is...
It is pretty good.
And I know it's creepy. I know if everyone's like, oh, the Polar Express, and it's the Hidden Valley effect, and it gets kind of, I'm like, whatever. It's very well done, because it's literally just, well, almost word for word taken. I always forget that Ghost of Christmas Present has the two children who represent want and avarice kind of thing. And, you know, where will they hide? You know, are there not prisons? Are there not workhouses? You know, just those things. I love them. But I think my all-time favorite is Scrooged with Bill Murray. That's my favorite Ghost of Christmas Future. The TV screens and everything. Ooh, it's so good. And the scene where the homeless man, he finds the homeless man. It messed my little, even to this day, my youngest sister Reagan, who is a adult now, if she sees that scene, she will just, to this day, you should have seen her when she was little. This little toddler just crying on me and my other sister's laps. Just, he died. He just wanted the thing for his heater. And she just cried. And even to this day, she's still just, hey, he just wanted money for his heater. And I'm like, I know, Reagan. We know. We've seen it many times. It's so sad. Reagan, I love you. I think that these two characters are just always going to be iconic. And I don't know. I think my least favorite, though, really quick with Christmas carols, might be the Muppet ones. It's good. I think that
they're okay.
They're okay. And I think that Tim Curry just gave it his all. And he was a great Scrooge. I just wish he didn't have puppets. But that Goes to Christmas Present. It's one of my favorites. Just the big friendly, he's all friendly and kind. Oh, so I love that puppet. I think they both just teach just wonderful lessons. And I think that everyone should try to at least enjoy these movies once a year, you know, and just get to enjoy them, get these two characters. And I think that you should show these stories to your children, regardless of whatever. And there's a few Hanukkah stories that I try to go to every holiday season. I love this time of year. I love the different cultures of, the solstices and the change and the, getting to the tip of winter, and then, having and then getting ready for New Year's. New beginnings are coming, and we finish the year with a bang. We try to finish it with as much kindness as we can. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. It's the most wonderful time of the year, even though we're all depressed because we have no sun, and we're all poor because we're buying presents. Counterintuitive of the whole episode. I take everything I said back this time. I'm just kidding.
Sucks.
I love this. I really do love this time of year.
It is a great time of year. I love Christmas time because I get to spend it with my family. I get to I get to watch good movies. I get to be with the people I care about. And now, having just
it's your first Christmas.
This is going to be my first Christmas with my wife. And it's
my wife.
I'm so excited to see what new traditions come about between the two of us and our new, this new chapter in our life. And yeah, it's good. And being with people that you care about is always a good thing on Christmas. During the holiday season. I hope that all of you can have a good holiday season. I hope that you are all able to discover for yourselves the true meaning of Christmas and care for one another and just be happy. You know, I hope that this holiday season can be the best time of the year for all of us.
I second that. I honestly think I've had a hunch or a theory, and I want to do more research on it, but I truly believe that these holidays and rituals and all these things, whether pagan or Christian, whatever, I believe that all these things that we have made as humanity, it was truly made to help combat the winter times and the loneliness and to bring warmth to these cold times, at least in these western parts of the world. But, it truly is a colder time. And I think that, like Tim said, it's just time for us to be with those we care about, find for yourself the true meaning of Christmas, and we're excited to have one more episode with you guys, but this is the end of season 1. Holy crap, 25 episodes. Can't believe it. Might be a shorter episode this week, but we'll give you guys a present, and this will kind of be like a part 2 of, our little Christmas time. But thanks, everyone.
Yeah. I hope you all have wonderful Christmas time, Hanukkah, etc. And I hope that you all have a good new year, beginning of to your new year. And we will catch you guys again at the beginning of 2024.
Oh my gosh.
Until then, we will see you later, pitches.
See ya.